Welcome, everyone. My name is Marquessa Patway. I'm a business reinvention expert here in New York City, and I'm also a proud columnist for Speaker Magazine. And I get a chance to talk to my speaker buddies for you on your behalf and hear how they make it in this really highly competitive yet important business called professional speaking. Now, I get a chance to talk to someone that I think every single person on this planet needs to know. Not only do I love her talent as a main stage keynoter, but she has a heart of gold. Let me tell you who I'm talking to. Now, this is Linda Larsen. Here's a little tip. If you want to know what needs to be in a demo video, go to her site. That's Linda, and then Larsen, Larsen. She is a motivational speaker, very funny, an author of several books. I remember back in the day, and I've been in this industry, guys, for 11 years, I sold her books. She is amazing. She's been a professional speaker since 1989. And she's a CSP, which is the highest designation you can get in the professional speaking industry. And what's extremely impressive, her background is a professional actor. All right, I'm talking film, TV, stage. I mean, she's still on Broadway. She still does all these different things. And I asked her, I said, Linda, you have magic. You take people to another place when you do your keynotes. Talk to us. Give us your secrets. Tell us how you make that work. So I'm going to turn it over and just let Linda share her magic.
Oh, thank you so much, Marquesa. I really appreciate that. Will you be my PR person? You can introduce me at all my events. I like that. Yeah, I think I'm so honored to be in a profession where we get to stand up on stage and say something that literally can help people be more effective, be happier, be healthier, whatever our message is. That's an honorable place to be able to go to work every day. And over the years, I have made some discoveries. You know, a lot of things I figured out did not work by doing it the wrong way. This is one of those businesses where the mistakes we make can sometimes be a little costly because we don't want to get out there and have a reputation of being whatever, hard to work with, not very organized, not very substantive in our talks. So you don't want to step out there with all of that without knowing exactly what it is you're doing. And that takes me to the main point that I'd like to share with everyone today. And I'm a member of the National Speakers Association, and it was, I don't even know how many years ago, maybe 10, 12 years ago, I attended a session that was given by a really brilliant speaker. And his name was Joe Calloway. And someone asked him, how do we book more business? And Joe said, you want to book more business? Have a really great speech. Okay, I remember sitting there thinking, check, I got that. Let's move on. What else? Give me the real stuff now. And what I began to understand was, no, I had a really good speech. I assumed that I was good enough to command the amount of fee that I was asking. Never really was happening very consistently or very often. And here's why I thought I was a really great speaker. See if this applies to you. People told me I was. My audience members came up afterwards and went, oh, you were so funny. You were so good. Oh, you're the best speaker I ever heard. Oh, well, thank you. I'm so honored that you think that. And what happened after a while was I realized that, you know, these people were very well intentioned and they wanted, you know, maybe I struck a chord with them. I don't know. But maybe many of them didn't really know what a great speaker sounds and looks like. Or maybe they were just my friend and wanted me to feel good, or who knows what. But the fact is that just because people came up and told me that I was good or they liked me or I was the best speaker they ever heard, that doesn't mean that I was a great speaker. And that's a trap, because when people tell you that, you think, well, okay, I've got this great speech. Now the question, my only question is, how do I book more business? I need to market this great speech I have. What I realized was, I wasn't taking the right product to the market. I was bringing a substandard product to the market. Nobody's going to want to book me consistently at the fees that I was hoping for. So I kind of went back to the drawing board. I have a graduate degree in acting from Florida State University, Oslo Conservatory for actor training. And I studied for 2 years. And I studied what makes a great actor on stage. It's a technique. I went back to school at 40 years old. So I had already been working professionally for a very long time as an actor. So I went back to school because I thought, well, my instincts are good and I know I'm funny. Could there be more to this thing called acting? Could there be more to the technique and the art and the craft of it? And sure enough, I studied for 2 solid years around the year calendar to be the best that I could be at this. And then what happened was I parlayed all that training into professional speaking not long after I left graduate school, because I realized it's really hard to make it as a professional actor. I don't care how great you are. But I parlayed all the training I'd had in social work and in professional actor training into speaking on stage. And after a while, I got to thinking, wait a minute, if people study for 2 years, intensive training on the craft of acting, why would it be any less for the art and craft of speaking professionally? Why would it be any less than that? So I studied, and here's what I did, and here's what I encourage you to do. Go hear speakers, lots of speakers. Every time you have an opportunity to sit in the audience and listen to someone, just tune in with both sides of your brain. Here's how it works. From the right side of your brain, sit there and just tell yourself to feel whatever it is that's coming at you. Is it compelling? Is it emotionally engaging? Is it funny? Anything that works for you or doesn't work emotionally, tune into that. But watch, at the exact same time, engage your left brain and start asking yourself, why is this working or not working? What is it about this person that I really like or I don't really like? Why is it that I feel so happy when I'm listening to this person? What are they doing or saying that makes me so engaged? That's what you start paying attention to. There's your school. And pretty soon you start to pick up some things that you can use. Can I give you an example?
Yes, please.
Okay. Here's one. Long time ago. I sat in an audience a long time ago, and Marquesa, you'll appreciate this. It was I was a contract trainer for an international training company, and it was their annual meeting. I was sitting in the audience, and there was someone speaking, and I kept thinking, why am I smiling? Why do I like her so much? What's going on here? And then all of a sudden it hit me. The whole time she was talking, she was smiling. Wait, what? She was smiling? Well, it was just basic information, but it wasn't an inauthentic smile. It was very real. It was almost as if, now get this, that from the inside she was thinking, I have the coolest information to tell you and I'm so excited. I'm so glad you're here. And that energy was coming out. So what did that do for me? It made me want to go, okay, tell me more. I'm so excited. And that's what was happening. Now, yes, she was smiling, but remember, I had to kind of get behind it and see what was making that smile feel so authentic and truthful to me. And it was her joy and excitement for sharing with me the information she knew was going to make a difference to me. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely. and a big part of what you do, Linda, that I love, you don't just tell us, you show us. You brought us in there. I was in that audience with you, feeling it. And I think that's what we need to hear out here. Is we hear all the time, you got to be really good. But sometimes that translates into, well, I don't really know what you mean by good. I think I'm great, but I love how you said I was good, but I wanted to be even better.
Absolutely. You know what's cool about that? And thank you for bringing up that presentation that you saw. It was a 35-minute presentation. That's all. Now, I could have taken my best material that always works, and just strung it all together and stood up there and made people laugh for 35 minutes. But because I believe so strongly in the power of not perfection, I'm not saying perfection, but striving for this higher level of excellence, because I believe in that, I thought, okay, we're not going to take any chances. I'm going to script this from word one to the very last word. And I'm going to rewrite it and rewrite it. I'm going to pay someone who's really funny to look at it and tell me how I can make it funny. Once I get the script down, I'm going to a theater director. Now, you don't have to go to a theater director. I just happen to have a woman that directed me in a lot of shows in the past, and she lives in the city I live. So I went to her and said, will you direct me? You sit in the audience. I'm going to stand up here. It was in her living room, but you know what I mean. And I said, just be my director. I did the entire presentation for her. She took notes. And when I was done, it was little things, Marquesa. It was, okay, when you hold up the hat, look at the hat before you say a word. Now, that's out of context and it doesn't mean much to a lot of people, but it was a moment. It was one little moment. But that's what makes a great speech, is these wonderful little moments all put together. And they don't happen by accident. They happen because you write it, you plan it, you rewrite it, you practice it. Oh, okay, here's my practice technique. I finally got my script down. And then I recorded it on my phone. And then every day when I went for my walk, I plugged in my headphones and I walked and listened and said it along with myself. So I'm talking with the actual words that I have recorded on my phone, so that by the time I get up there on stage in front of, 1,500 of my peers, oh, Marquesa, you know this, the last thing I want to be thinking about is what comes next. Mm-hmm. But that's true of everyone in your audience today. The last thing you want to be thinking about is, oh yeah, what was I going to talk about and what comes next? Because that will impact what you're doing in this particular moment, and it starts making you feel uneasy, and then your audience feels uneasy. So write it, make it brilliant, practice it like every single day, so that when you get up to say it, you don't have to think about the words. They're right there. And you've practiced all these little, as my director friend said, these little moments. What's going to make that moment funnier? Can I give you another example?
Yes, please.
Okay. It's going to be kind of hard to do because we're in a tight frame, but the theme was keep it real. And I thought one of the techniques to make something funny is self-deprecation. I mean, it's, you kind of, in a funny, wonderful way, you kind of, pull the curtain back of your own frailties and foibles. So if the theme was keep it real, I wanted to come right out and say, okay, here's the deal. You want real? Well, you picked the wrong girl. Why? Because I have been nipped, tucked, lifted, plucked, enhanced, veneered, colored, sheared, whitened, brightened, lightened, tightened, plumped up, exfoliated, peeled, and repealed. Okay, so I said that. It was self-disclosure. Yep, here it is, the truth. And when I said the word tightened, my hands were down by my side, and I just kind of pointed to my Buddha when I said tightened. And so it's just a moment. But it was a subtle reference to my backside and this moment of having something tightened. That could have just slipped away. That didn't need to be there. But if you're looking at all the words and what would make it funnier, you discover things like that. Here's the thing. On Broadway, and there's a great, I love the article I wrote. It was a year ago, last November, called Take a Page from the Broadway Playbook. And it's what actors do who are paid bunches of money and the producers have millions of dollars to produce a show, and they are rehearsing everything to within an inch of its life. That's exactly what they do. They hone every single moment. So my suggestion is, again, let's go back. Watch really great speakers, see what they do, what works for you, what doesn't work, what makes you feel great, do that. What makes you feel a little uncomfortable, don't do that. And then write a really amazing script, get feedback, get it up on its feet, memorize it, practice it in front of someone who can give you some good feedback. Does that make sense?
Oh, yes. And I just want to hug you. You gave us so much. You gave us a masterclass in really working our keynote. That's what you just did. Guys, please make sure you go to her fan page, go to her website, send her a little note. Let her know how much this meant, because I know just me being the interviewer here, and I consider myself one of your friends and colleagues in the industry, I just got so much out of that. Because I remember that keynote, Linda, you did on the big stage at the NSA conference. And I remember you taking us on the journey. I didn't want it to end. And all these years, I've never forgotten that keynote.
Thank you.
And then here's, the final word I will say is, before we hear your closing thoughts, I had the pleasure of masterminding with you about 2 years ago. It was towards the holidays. And you are a motivational speaker, Linda, from the inside out. Some folks, and it's okay, we have different types of folks in the industry. They're just sort of motivational speakers on the stage. But you are through and through, because you said something to me. I was going through something. I don't know what it was, but you said something to me, and then I repeated it. I went out on the beach, and I said it to myself a few times, and it changed my life.
Wow.
It changed my life in a big way. My relational power, my relationships have completely elevated, all because of one phrase you said to me. And I'll keep that private, but it was so good. And so I just want everyone to know that this is you from the inside out. This is just who you are. So we have all different types of speakers listening, and they took in every single word. Any final words you want them to know, and most importantly, how can they reach out to you, or just go to your website? How would you like them to proceed?
Oh, by all means. On my website, there's contact information, contact Linda now or something. I think it goes to my email. Please reach out. If there's any way I can help, any questions you have, I'm happy to do that. My final thought would be, and thank you for mentioning the mastermind group, Marquesa. My final thought would be I always say, if you want to be brilliant at something, study the people who are already brilliant at it. That's a theme song of mine in my life. And here's the thing. When we got in this mastermind group, Marquesa brought a set of skills to this party that I'm like, I know nothing about this. This is like, she was the golden ticket person to bring into our group, to bring this information that I think several of the others of us had no knowledge of. So if there would be anything I would hope that I would leave you with, it would be surround yourself with brilliant people, not all of whom do exactly what you do, who bring something that you don't have to the party, and then give of yourself like a crazy person and without expecting anything back in return. That's just my philosophy. Just never expect anything back in return. Just give of yourself. And it's funny how people kind of really want to give back. Again, not your intention, but Marquesa, you were that for me. You were like this fountain of information. I'm like, whoa, would you adopt me? Could you come live with me for 6 months? I don't know. Anyway, surround yourself with amazing people like Marquesa.
Oh, and I feel the same. And guys, if you're not showing up to NSA events and conferences, this is what you're missing out on. You're missing out on these connections, the presentations. You're missing out on the relationships. Just saying.
Yeah, you're so right on that. Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Linda Larsen. And thank you, everyone. Make sure you read her article in the Speaker Toolkit. It's on the last page, but it is full of best practices and strategies from superstars like Linda Larsen. This has been Marquesa Petway, and here is Speaker Magazine Live.